radio host, Leslie Marshall. And here in the studio, my panel, former Miss America, Kirsten Haglund, attorney Rebecca Rose Woodland, and Gary Vaynerchuk, co-owner of Gary Vaynerchuk, also author. I think you're the full owner of Gary Vaynerchuk. What do you think of that?
You know, I just found out I lost half my net worth.
Author of Crush It. I have a book. Crush It.
Thank you, man.
Why now is the time to cash in on your passions, Gary? You guys, panel, stay here for a second. I want to go to Leslie. Leslie, you know, the outrage of the story. Here's how it went down for us. Okay, we found the story. Well, I brought it out on a segment called Street Meat here. And then it was a little quiet. It was like, boy, is this thing real? Is this? Did I screw up? Did I just report a story that I was snookered? But turns out these people were taking a lot of money. You're in California. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I know there are people that want to blame the left on the right and et cetera. But, you know, these people have, you know, worked under two different presidents, two different administrations. And here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter if you cut 90%. I'm 20 minutes from Bell right now here in Los Angeles. And I have to tell you, these people are angry, and rightly so. This is a bad economy. Bell is a hardworking, typically blue-collar population of people. Some of those people made more than the President of the United States. 90% cut, that's ridiculous. They need to be out, and they need to pay it back.
And not only that, Leslie, if they hurry up and quickly retire, they're going to get 75% of their paycheck for the rest of their life. Could be literally tens of millions of dollars going forward for these people.
That's what they think, that's what they think. But obviously there are people that can stop that, and they should.
What do you think? So they should break those contracts?
Well, I think that if you are violating your position, I mean, who makes 100 grand part-time? Eric, should you and I go get that gig? You know, if,
all right, well, let me ask you
this,
Leslie, then let's take it one step further. Let's say Bell, California. Yeah, there's probably a lot of Bells out there. We're going to ask people to send in their Bell, California story. But what about the UAW? The UAW was making, a line worker making $73 an hour in Detroit. Oh, by the way, here are our Bell three stooges. There's our Robert Rizzo making $787,000, Ms. Spaccio making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Mr. Adams, the police chief, making more than the President of the United States. That's we just kind of played with that a little bit. But the question again. The UAW brought down GM and Chrysler. Ford, by the genius of Alan Mulally, decided to pay down some of its debt and survive the crisis. But here are companies that were brought to their knees, basically bailed out by the taxpayer, because the UAW is making us now pay for their legacy costs.
But, Eric, what are you saying? That, you know, UAW is responsible for the sins of the city council in Bell, California?
No, I'm saying in another example of workers, of people taking more than they deserve. They're being paid more than they deserve. They're being paid higher than the market price, which in essence is what Bell, California is doing. Market price for a police chief is, in that size town, is probably like 50 grand, but he was taking $450. UAW worker, that work could be done by a line worker for a third of the cost.
You know, we talked about this last week, and, you know, you asked me, is somebody not as qualified if they're out of the union? And I say certainly can't make that broad sweeping generalization. But remember that the union workers are well trained and have great experience, and there are rules, regulations, and guidelines they follow. I'm pro-union, so I am not going to throw the UAW under the bus and try and equate apples and oranges.
But Leslie, you're saying break those contracts. Let me bring in the panel. Rebecca, Leslie says break the contracts in California.
I'm saying a contract is only worth as...
Hold on, Leslie, hang on.
A contract's worth as good as the paper it's
just hang in there.
What I'm told.
Hang in there. So they should break the contracts in California, but not the UAW.
Well, I think what we have in California is the people of Bell, California, are opposed to spending their taxpayer money on these men who are making outrageous salaries when they're cutting. This is a blue-collar town. They're cutting a lot of people.
So break the contract or not? Can you break those?
California?
Yeah.
Well, the people who've elected the head of the police, they don't want it anymore.
That guy signed the deal. Hey, I signed a deal for 3 years. You're going to give me 800
You're
grand.
a public official. You work for the public. If the taxpayers don't want it,
I mean, it's
totally separate than the union issue.
And the question, Gary, here's the question. If it wasn't $800,000 for the city manager, maybe it was a little bit higher than what he or she should have made, then do you break the contract too?
You don't only break the contract, you punch these people directly in the face. I mean, this is ludicrous. Yeah, thanks, Les. I mean, this is, you know, this is insanity. And you know what's really scary? Let's really cut to the big chase. You know, this isn't a left or right issue. This is what I call this silent middle that nobody ever talks about. There are not many more Bell Californians. There are a lot of
lot
them.
more
The
bells.
people
United
watching
States
right now.
Congress is
That's
a Bell,
right. I mean,
California.
Thank you, Kirsten. Go ahead,
I
Kirsten.
mean, well, we just covered this story last night about John Kerry and his $7 million yacht. It's politicians that are out of touch with the constituents that they serve. These are public servants, and with a heart of service, you want to do good for the people, you want to work for them. And one of these city council officials is quoted as saying that she wasn't going to resign. She wanted to stand up for her people. And one of the women there said, I'm not one of your people, you're not serving me, but the people need to be at the forefront of their minds, and they're not anymore.
Kirsten, let me pronounce it properly, makes a great point. Mr. John Kerry, Senator John Kerry, saying, you know what, I'm all for more taxes, except for when it applies to me, then I'm going to put my boat in another state where the taxes are lower. Or Charlie Rangel saying, you know what, it's un-American to fight these charges, even though I'm really pretty much caught with my hand in the cookie jar.
Well, being that I'm from Massachusetts and as a college gal worked for Senator John Kerry as an intern, I have to tell you that Senator John Kerry comes from a lot of money. So I think we need to be specific where he's received the monies. He's also married to a very wealthy woman who is the heir to a huge corporation and empire.
Make the point. What are you saying?
I'm saying if you're a politician and you happen to be rich or make money while you're a politician, are you making it as a politician or are you making it with additional investments that you have? George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are loaded.
I don't know. If I'm a politician, I'm worth $500 million or whatever number he's worth because he married, you know, a couple of the right women. Don't I pay my fair share of taxes? And why should I vote for raising taxes and then I go figure out a loophole and go put my boat somewhere else?
Hey, Eric, I'm a liberal Democrat who doesn't want who wants the rich to pay more. So under my idea, John Kerry would have to pay more. Under your idea, he's getting a great benefit.
No, I don't think that's my idea,
But he doesn't
Leslie.
even want
We
to
have
pay
to
more.
say thank you to Leslie, and we're going to keep our panel around for a lot